Welcome, everybody, to episode 7 of Ringside Rewind podcast with Matt and Andre. I am your co host, Andre, alongside with my brother, my podcast partner, Matt. And Matt, go ahead and say hello to the wonderful listeners and viewers of our podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Ringside Rewind. Andre, it's always a blessing to be with you today.
Absolutely, Matt. And man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of big storyline changes that we are obviously having to go through in the lead up to WrestleMania, as well as some news in regards to Vegas. And yeah, let's just start off with that first and foremost, because that's the topic I want to get to. And I've been waiting to talk to you about. And so let's just go straight into it, like we always do. We're very straightforward people. And Matt, speaking of straightforward, TKO has made it very clear to Las Vegas and the hotels and potential businesses of the area that they are wanting and requesting that they do not hold any watch parties for WrestleMania Night 1 and WrestleMania Night 2. And Matt, I know you have your own opinion about this because last year when we were in Vegas for WrestleMania, you were at the Rio for Night 1. I was actually at the stadium, saw it in person. Matt, how do you feel about this? Because I refuse to believe that this is going to be true, or how they're going to even enforce this in the first place. Because first of all, how do you even have that power to do that?
That's right.
And so, Matt, what is your take on this? How do you feel about the fact that they're saying no watch parties?
You took the words right out of my mouth. How do you enforce it? It makes no sense. When I first read this and saw it, I had to check so many different sources, Andre, because I don't believe it. It's like telling the Super Bowl. It's like telling the NFL, you can't have a watch party at a bar 50 miles from where the Super Bowl is being hosted. You can't have a watch party at a casino or a restaurant. I don't believe this is going to stand. I think this is a deploy by TKO to get the ticket sales to go up, as they saw over the last week and a half, that people were just not buying tickets. I mean, they had to release a 25% discount over President's Day weekend in order to drive ticket sales for WrestleMania 42 because of the pricing is outrageous. But the watch party, how do you tell a private business owner at his restaurant that he can't put something on his TV? In Las Vegas, a sporting event, the entertainment capital of the world. I don't believe it. And I will tell you, last year when I was at the Rio, my wife and I, it was a tremendous fun time. There was hundreds of people there watching it on 3 super giant big screens. The food, the drinks, the party, it was fun. How do you take that away? There is not. I don't believe it. I think it's, and if it does happen, I think it's a joke.
I agree. I mean, here's the thing. How are you going to, like I said, how are you going to enforce that? Are you going to have like a TKO official at every single possible business that's going to be holding that? And then on top of that too, like for the people that want to go to Vegas and be a part of that WrestleMania experience, because obviously WrestleMania is the big event, but it's also not just the event, but it's also it's the week, people fly in from different sorts of the world to be a part of that. We met a lot of people when we were there, from different areas and whatnot, when it came down to the fact that there's so many things that were leading up to the event. For example, WrestleCon, right? WrestleCon was a part of it. WWE World was a part of it as well. The meet and greets, before, during, and after Mania, Raw after Mania. There's so many things that are part of that week itself. And so to me, it's just corporate greed. It just screams corporate greed. It screams that, yeah, I get that they're low in ticket sales, but maybe this should be a sign for them to be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't make the ticket prices so outrageous to where people can't even afford it. And yeah, to me, it's just ridiculous. I don't even know why they're even saying this, because to me, WWE, you're already gatekeeping, or not, sorry, gatekeep, but you're pricing out the real hardcore fans.
That's right.
And so it's already expensive as is now, even to go to the regular shows. It's almost $200 depending on where you see, or depending on where you're sat at. you know, I don't understand. When I saw this headline, I was like, I want to get your opinion because I'm like, I know you plan on doing a watch party again this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to go to WrestleMania night 1, but for sure night 2, obviously. But yeah, to me, it's just insane.
Well, here's the thing, Andre, too. There was other pro wrestlers that were there last year for 41 that were hosting watch parties. Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, woo, the 16-time world champion, Ric Flair, dirtiest player in the game. He hosted a pool party watch party. Santino Marella hosted a party at a bar, a karaoke bar. So it wasn't just restaurants and private owners and the casinos. Other wrestlers, other Hall of Famers were hosting parties. I think this is a joke. I think it's going to play itself out. I hope it plays itself out. And I hope there's big watch parties because not everybody could afford to be in that stadium. That stadium seats maybe 70,000 people, which is still a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. That's a lot of money. But what about the other 100 and some thousand people that go to Vegas that want to watch WrestleMania? You're going to tell them they can't watch it at a bar with their friends? Come on. So I hope it plays itself out, and I hope this is the last we see of it.
Yeah, I hope it plays itself out too. I hope this actually isn't true because if it is, WWE is just making itself look really bad by doing this. Like you said, it's no different. Why would you? It's like the Super Bowl. This is our Super Bowl, you know?
That's right.
Why would you do such a thing? So, anyways, moving on. We've got a lot to talk about with the upcoming shows here and there. A lot of stuff happened this past Monday night. One of those, the biggest thing, is Braun Breaker announced that he is out indefinitely due to a hernia surgery that he had. Matt, I know you're a big fan of the Vision storyline, and I know this puts a damper into that. How do you feel about heading into this Monday as well as upcoming Mondays leading up to the WrestleMania event? You know, we had talked about Braun Breaker possibly being a part of that event. It looks extremely cloudy. They didn't say exactly how long he's going to be out. Obviously, we know Seth Rollins is out. You got two of your main eventers that were attached to that storyline now out with injury. Where do you go from here?
Well, Triple H said it on Unreal many times. When it gets predictable or whenever there's an injury, I have to pivot, right? This was a blow to the Vision storyline. You know, coming out of the Royal Rumble in Saudi where Braun Breaker got attacked by the Masked Man, going into Monday Night Raw, him flipping out, destroying the set, flipping over the table, I guess is where they say he pulled the hernia, to now being out for a very long time with a serious injury. But I love the fact that they kept the story going. I love the fact that Paul Heyman blamed Adam Pearce for what happened to him. The Vision is blaming Adam Pearce for what happened to him. So I still hope that the fireworks are there. It's hard not having the number one person part of the storyline, Braun Breaker. Him not being there every Monday night is going to make it hard. But I think WWE is going to overcome it. And I think they're going to pivot, as in Triple H says, pivot, right? And still go with that storyline. We saw a little bit of it with the Masked Man getting involved with LA Knight and costing taking out Austin Theory, allowing LA Knight to win and qualify for the Chamber. So that Masked Man we know now is not Austin Theory. Paul Heyman was still yelling at Adam Pearce when Raw went off the air. So that storyline is still alive. And Dre, I don't know if you saw that Big Bronson Reed said that he was coming for Adam Pearce. So there's still a lot of storytelling there, even with Braun Breaker being out. But I do wish him a speedy recovery. I hope it's not as long as we think, and I hope to see him back very soon.
Hopefully he doesn't miss Mania. I mean, this is a guy that is very clearly WWE's putting all of their eggs into his basket because they see a bright future for him. I hope, though, that this is now an opportunity for both Austin Theory and Bronson Reed to elevate to the next level. They've been kind of the background guys, you know, since the start of the storyline. Oh, as well as, I guess, Logan Paul. I keep forgetting about Logan Paul. Logan Paul's already a big star. Let's be real. But I really hope with Bronson Reed and Austin Theory, this helps them become a little bit more over with the crowd. to really showcase their true talent and their true layers of their characters. Uh, but I agree. I really think this is an unfortunate event for Braun Breaker. I like Braun Breaker as a wrestler. I like the fact that he really is that top guy that
Yeah.
a lot of people see him to be as. So, with that being said, I really do hope that he is there at WrestleMania. It'd be kind of, we talk about injuries happening all the time. And this is one big injury because of the fact that, mind you, before Seth had that shoulder injury and they wrote him off, to me, this was going to be the biggest storyline heading into WrestleMania 42. And now that we have both of them out, the biggest storyline now that is kind of taking over that is CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. So we'll see what they cook up with. Do you see, though, them revealing the Masked Man before Elimination Chamber?
I don't know, Andre. You're putting me on the spot there, brother. He attacked Austin Theory. So the last couple of weeks on the show, we've been talking about, well, if it's Austin Theory working for Seth, is it we thought Finn Balor? We know now that there's no way that's even tied together with what's going to happen with Finn and CM Punk in Chicago here in a week and a half. I don't know if they reveal it. I don't know. I don't even know who it could possibly be. I mean, I've sat and thought, who could this be? I still want to know who's Adam Pearce talking to on the phone. Who is the higher guy? Is it the final boss? Is it Triple H? I don't know where they go with this. All I know is I'm glad that the Masked Man made an appearance, costing Austin Theory the chance at the Chamber, allowing LA Knight to pick up the win. But I don't know who that guy is. I don't know where they take it. But mark my words, guys, and hold me to it. And you hold me to it too, brother. This is still the fireworks of Monday Night Raw. I think they're going to utilize this injury. Like I said, I want Braun back right away. I want Seth back. I love when the roster's full and they're there every week, right? But injuries happen. It's part of the game. It's part of the show. It's part of being a professional wrestler. Mistakes happen. They get hurt. But this is still the fireworks, and I hope it turns out big. Do we find out who he is before the Chamber? I don't know. I don't have an answer because I don't even have the slightest idea who it could be.
I have an idea. And now,
okay,
I saw this on Facebook. So we put a side-to-side picture comparison of who this could possibly be, right? So there was a theory, no pun intended.
I love when you say that.
That it could possibly be Grayson Waller because of the shoes that the Masked Man was wearing. And I looked into this, and we'll put a picture up right here on screen for when we clip this. But there was a picture that I saw of Grayson Waller wearing the same black pair of shoes when they were in Europe. He was sat outside, just right in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Same pair of shoes to when he had attacked this past Monday. And so I can see this happening low key. I feel like Grayson Waller has been kind of like finding his way. Austin Theory was out. They kind of quietly split both of them up, which to me is kind of stupid because they could have easily had them. There was a lot of teasers that Austin Theory was going to turn against Grayson Waller, right?
Right.
And we never got that. They just got written off. Austin was out, and then Grayson was just randomly inserted with the New Day storyline, and that hasn't really gotten anywhere. So to me, it's like, what better way to like kind of put him back into that picture and align him with the vision? Austin Theory doesn't know it, obviously, because he got attacked. To me, put Grayson Waller in that spot, and it's like now you have that storyline between Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. And I guess, and to me, that's a good way for you to elevate that and kind of continue off of that storyline that you once had with them. So that's just my personal opinion.
I've seen stuff like that too, Andre, but then why would he attack Braun Breaker at the Rumble?
The same reason why Austin Theory stomped CM Punk and helped out the Vision. I mean, everybody's out for their own.
Okay.
Everybody's out for their own goals that they want to accomplish.
You got a better take on it than I could, brother, because I don't have the slightest idea who that is. All I'm saying about this is I still hope that this is the fireworks of Monday Night Raw.
I agree. I agree. Speaking of fireworks, we've got a lot to talk about. Finn Balor, CM Punk. Now I really hate this for Finn Balor because I'm a big Finn Balor fan, and I know for a fact he's going to probably lose at Elimination Chamber in Chicago. I mean, you have AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch for the IC title. We'll talk about that here in a second, but you have CM Punk returning as the World Heavyweight Champion against Finn Balor. Finn is going to lose that match without a doubt, unless you have Roman Reigns randomly inserted there and him interfering with that match, and it ends up being a no contest, which I really hope that doesn't happen because there's too many no contests. That always happens anyways on a regular basis. But I think this is a great opportunity though for Dom to get involved and possibly cost Finn Balor that match. And then now you have a match between Dom Mysterio and Finn Balor at WrestleMania 42 for the IC title. And to me, this is a great way to kind of also put Finn Balor in a position to where he's back over with the fans. We've seen him in a while with the Judgment Day. He did his thing. I feel like it's kind of overdue for him to be no longer with that faction anymore. And I think it's also overdue for the Judgment Day to finally crumble and fall apart. We've seen some tensions with Liv and Raquel. Tensions there a lot now, along with Dom and Finn and a little bit of JD, because you said that JD had tweeted something out about Finn. And so I think this is the perfect formula to kind of put that storyline into wraps. Matt, what do you think about all that?
I think you nailed it, bro. So I want to say it was last night or early this morning. JD McDonough posted, or he tweeted, or X'd, I guess, right? He X'd out. He said weakness, referring to Finn Balor giving his flowers and props to CM Punk after their match in Ireland on Raw. So is this kind of like a tease to us? I agree with you. I don't think Finn Balor's winning at the Elimination Chamber in Chicago, CM Punk's hometown, when the main event for night 2 we know is Roman Reigns, our tribal chief, and CM Punk. Nothing's going to interfere with that match. Adam Pearce didn't even want to make the match. CM Punk kind of forced him to make the match, as we saw on Raw. But I think somewhere the Judgment Day crumbles at Elimination Chamber. I think the return of JD is at Elimination Chamber. And I think him and Dom go after Finn. I think we're going to see tension over the next 2 weeks on Raw. We have this Monday, then with the following Monday before the Chamber. So we have 2 Monday Night Raws, 2 SmackDowns before the Chamber. I think we see tension more with Finn and Dom, though there has been tension in the locker room when they do their backstage segments. I think this is what it is. And I actually think you're right. I think we're going to see Finn and Dom at WrestleMania. And I think we see a babyface Finn and Dom. And here's the thing. Whether or not they fought for the title, the IC title, I don't care. I think just the fact that those two having a match at WrestleMania is going to be good.
I agree. You're going to definitely have a babyface Finn. I mean, you already see now the fact that Finn brought back the Prince gimmick in Ireland, and you saw how over he was with that crowd. That just goes to show, I mean, just a simple gimmick change just like that is needed for Finn. I mean, I feel like he's been put in the back burner ever since he got injured. He won that Universal title, had to relinquish it due to injury, has been climbing up this hill trying to get back into the main event picture. I think this is a great way to at least work his way back up. Now, will we ever see him win another world title? I hope so. I really hope so. But in this timeline, not right now. I think it's more realistic that he does win a title, and I think that's going to be the IC title against Dom at WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. So with that being said, I think with what you're saying with the Judgment Day, I completely agree with. Yeah. Do you have anything more to add to that, Matt?
Yeah, one more thing. You know, another Easter egg that was dropped about Finn Balor, and I don't know if you caught it, and I haven't spoke to you about this. He's wearing his own shirt again, and the shirt is selling. In fact, I was just recently on WWE.com looking at shirts and stuff because they have a sale going on right now. Shout out to the sale. But Finn is wearing his own merch again. And I learned a long time ago in this business, those are Easter eggs. As they start to wear their own shirts, their own hats, you see a turn in the character. So I think we're in for some shocks at the Elimination Chamber. I don't think Finn's winning. And I think the Judgment Day will finally crumble like we've been talking week over week over week. And I think we're going to see, hopefully, Demon Finn at WrestleMania. And I definitely think it's going to be with Dominic Mysterio.
Absolutely. And we're going to see, we've got a lot of exciting things underway. We have 2 weeks left until Elimination Chamber, 2 Mondays left. So
13 nights.
Yep. So it's going to ramp up here pretty soon. So I'm excited about that. Speaking of, in relation to Punk, we have his wife facing Becky Lynch in Chicago for the Intercontinental Championship. Matt, where do you see this match lining up? So I feel like it was kind of randomly announced. I'm not going to lie. We kind of saw a little bit of a storyline between Becky and Natty. Natty's in that Elimination Chamber match tomorrow, actually. Elimination Chamber qualifying match. But how do you feel about this match? Does it seem it makes sense that obviously AJ, Chicago, that connection being there, her being from, not being from there, but residing there. What do you think about this match?
Let's light it up. I think I kind of agree with you. It was dropped on us. It was really cool to see AJ Lee back on Raw. We haven't seen her since she helped Maxine Dupree defeat Becky Lynch to win the title. That was the last time we saw her. And then prior to that, we didn't see her since she was in San Diego for Survivor Series War Games. So I know she's kind of doing the part-time thing right now. I actually think Becky retains at the Elimination Chamber match when they fight for the IC title. I don't think AJ Lee's going to win it, though I think AJ Lee's going to get a hell of a pop in Chicago because, like you said, she does reside there. She's married to CM Punk. CM Punk's from Chicago. They love them there. They're the power couple going in. So I just think it's a treat for the people of Chicago to see AJ Lee. And it's a treat for us, too, because, I'm an AJ Lee fan. I have been for years. So I think those two women are going to put on a hell of a match. But somehow with shenanigans, I think Becky's going to pull it off and retain the Intercontinental Championship.
I completely agree with you there. I think she's going to retain. She'll probably have a realistic match that I see happening is Natty versus Becky, WrestleMania 42.
That would be cool.
I would like that, especially with Natty's new gimmick. Absolutely can see that happening. So yeah, with that being said, we'll move on to the next one. Usos versus Alpha Academy. Usos retaining the match here. Jay had a terrible botch. My goodness, he missed that super quick by a mile. But we saw them retain. Matt, I'm not really liking how the storyline is playing out. I feel like the Usos are getting kind of thrown in random matches. Did we see maybe the Alpha Academy could possibly win? There was a little bit hints in there, here and there, but realistically, they're not going to defeat one of the greatest tag teams of all time, the Usos. So with that being said, Matt, who do you think can realistically defeat the Usos for the World Tag Team Championships? Because here's the thing, we're probably not going to see them defend it at Elimination Chamber unless something is made up right before the match, right before the event, either tomorrow or next Monday. Realistically, I think we can see that happening again, that match for the World Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania 42. So, Matt, is there any tag teams in mind that you think could possibly defeat them? What storylines could we pick up from this? Because I feel like with the segments they've had during commercial breaks, the segments they've had, even just on the screen, it just screams like the creative has no clue what to do with them at the moment. They kind of just slap the titles on them to put relevancy back to the tag team division. What's your take on this?
I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, and I'm okay with that because I'm a pro wrestling fan and I like getting heat. I have one word to describe what's going on right now with the tag titles on Raw. And I'm going to say this, Andre, boring. I'm bored. And like I said, I've been watching pro wrestling for many, many years. We've had great tag team champions over the years, and the Usos are up there. They're 9-time champions together. They're the longest reigning tag champions ever in history. But that was boring. Their match with the Alpha Academy was boring. Jay, missing the super kick. Otis trying to sell it and just couldn't really even sell it. It was so bad. And Jay realizing he messed up. I don't know what we do with the tag titles. I know Jimmy was out for almost a month off TV because of whatever family and personal issues he had. But after the match, Jimmy told Jay, now go win the chamber. So they're not doing anything with the tag titles. So somewhere Jay's going to have to qualify to get in the chamber, which that match hasn't been announced yet. And what do? Does Jimmy go off TV for a while? I mean, I haven't heard anything about Naomi having the baby yet. So I don't know if there's anything. Did she have the baby? Was there some family issues? And if there is, I wish him all the best, and that's what I want as a fan of them. But he told his brother, go win the chamber match now, and then go to WrestleMania and win the title. So I don't think we do anything with the tag belts. Nothing. But like I said, I was bored. And I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for that. But that's what I saw in that match. It was boring. And nothing taken away from the talent in the ring. Otis, Tozawa, Jimmy, and Jay are hell of a performers. But the story, there's something involved in it, wasn't there. It was really boring.
I was thinking about this at the end of the match when they defeated the Alpha Academy, and I think that would have been the perfect time. So, obviously they hugged it out and whatnot, good sportsmanship, and then attacked them. I say, in order to spark things back up with the Usos and the tag team division, turn the Usos heel.
Okay.
I mean, to me, in my opinion, when they were heels, when they were running with Roman and the Bloodline and whatnot, Uso Penitentiary, I really believe that the Usos as heels can really light that tag team division back on fire. I feel like there's a little bit too many. There's a lot of baby faces right now, a lot of baby faces. And the one thing that we're lacking is like that heel tag team, and for me, I think that's what they tried to do with the New Day, by turning them heel, them kicked Biggie out, they were getting some heat for the first couple weeks, they were, but now they've kind of fallen off the map, and I don't know. I love the Usos. I really do. But I have to slightly agree with you here. It's kind of like, you're going to get the cool entrance, and you're going to know exactly kind of what the outcome is going to be. But I think in order to spark things back up, turn the Usos heel. I think we need more heel factions. We need more heel tag teams. And the Usos would be perfect for that. They're really great on the mic as a tag team. They have great cadence, great chemistry, great timing, great rhythm. It's just poetry whenever they're out there doing their promos. So to me, turn them heel.
If I could say one more thing when it relates to the Usos, and like I said, I am a fan just like you. Turning them heel would be phenomenal. But we can't do it when we're eating with little kids in the audience. And I understand that's still a big pop. CM Punk, I can't remember what radio show he went on. And he says the internet world gives Jey Uso a bunch of crap. The internet world hates him. The pro wrestling critic cannot stand Jey Uso. But he's loved in the arenas. And when I'm there, I'm eating too. So I'm not hating on main event Jey Uso. I'm not hating on Big Jim Uso. I'm a fan of them. The match was boring. The storytelling's boring. I was more entertained on SmackDown with their little baby brother Solo with the MJFs. I mean, Solo makes me
MFTs
or MFTs. Excuse me,
MJFs and AEW.
Yeah, excuse me. My family tree, MFTs. MFTs. I was cracking up when Solo was making fun of Carmelo Hayes. That was funny on SmackDown. Okay, and that's their baby brother. So I want to see something else. I'm going to throw this out to you on this topic and kind of let this kind of sink in for the next couple weeks. You know what I'd really like to see? my dream match, WrestleMania, ladder match, the Usos versus the Hardy Boys. Give me that. Give me Matt and Jeff Hardy, night 2 versus Jim and Jey Uso. Tease me with that. Let me hear the Hardy Boys music hit and them just point to the titles in a ladder match. That's what I want to see for WrestleMania.
Hey, anything is possible. We saw them come back WrestleMania 33. So, I mean, you never know. And especially with the TNA WWE partnership, you never know. Anything's possible. We saw Joe Hendry appear last year. For the first time, the TNA championship holder was at WrestleMania. So you never know.
Against the Viper.
That's the unpredictability that we need, you know. And I don't know if you caught this though too, but the Observer rated Jey Uso 2025 most overrated wrestler of the year.
I saw that. They gave him a lot of love there.
Yeah. and he pointed it out, and he actually posted this on a story, you know, with the post. But I thought that was interesting. And here's the thing. I really hate how, you know, WWE, I guess, or WWE, we know for a fact, has the tendency to look at their analytics and look at the merch sales, for example, to kind of drive their storylines. You know, I want them to put that off to the side for a second and be like, look, Jay's doing this and the eating's fun, but I think it's time we say no yeet and turn him heel. That's just my opinion. But he's loved though. I mean, we saw him get over, and we saw him really be that guy, you know, breaking out of the bloodline and becoming that main event character that he has. Now, can he do that as a heel? I think he can. I think he'd be even more over as a heel, in my opinion.
They've teased us before. I mean, I remember going to Raw on my birthday, and I reached my hand out to get a high five from Jey Uso, and he blew me off, and I was sitting in the front row. So they've teased us before with turning him heel. They've dropped little breadcrumbs, but I honestly think the yeet thing is stopping them from doing it. But let me remind you, Andre, we're going on 2 years of so there's only so much that us as pro wrestling fans, not the little kids, though I'm a fan of the little kids too. I'm saying, yes, that's what it's about. But there's only so much we could take without giving us more, you know? So we'll see where it goes. I want to see the Hardys and Usos at WrestleMania. Give me that, Triple H.
Agreed. Let's now move on over to SmackDown, and let's talk about the events that happened and unfolded. One of which that I want to mention, because we haven't mentioned it yet, but Kit Wilson. Okay.
Kit Wilson.
Kit Wilson is that guy. And we saw that backstage segment that he had with R-Truth and Damian Priest and Nick Aldis. And I got to say, that was golden. And I love the chemistry that R-Truth just has everybody. He had Nick Aldis and Damian Priest and even Kit Wilson breaking character. And that's the stuff I love to see. But I just want to say, Kit Wilson, a lot of people are like, why is he over? You know why he's over. It's his theme song. It's catchy. I love the new gimmick that he has. I don't know if you listened to his podcast episode that he had with CVB, but Elton Prince suffered a neck injury. He's been out. And the first time Kit has been kind of out on his own. And so I have to give props to him, because listening to that podcast, you know, that's his tag team partner he's been with for the majority of his wrestling career. And for him to go out on his own for the first time and already be so over by so many people and getting all these appearances backstage in the ring, even though it's a squash match, you know, I love it. And I would love to meet him at WrestleMania 42 at WWE World.
We're there.
And now he's got a match with Obafemi next week. So Matt, you know, I haven't asked you this yet. You know, we've mentioned it here and there in conversation, but what's your take on the whole new Kit Wilson gimmick?
It's toxic masculinity, brother. That's all I could say, right? I think he's doing great. I think he's getting I say the flowers all the time. He's getting his props. Can you believe that theme song is one of the #1 downloaded theme songs? That's insane.
I have it in my workout playlist.
Yeah, do you really?
I do.
No, you just made my point for me. You know, everybody's downloading his song. They're singing his song when he comes to the ring. He's doing anything he can to get heat, and they're cheering him. That's when you know you're over. Compared to yeeting in the crowd, that's when you know you're over. When the crowd is cheering you and you're doing everything you can to get heat. And because he's still trying to be the bad guy, you know, and they're cheering him. I don't know where they're going to go with him. Oba's just going to kill him on Friday night. I mean, it's going to be one or two moves and Oba's going to take him out. But he had me cracking up that backstage segment. R-Truth, genius, always. He's the only one that got Brock Lesnar to break live in the ring on Raw. So, you know, I will see what happens with Kit. I mean, maybe go after the U.S. title against Melo. That would be a shocker. You know what? Maybe Kit beats Melo sometime on the Open Challenge and he becomes the new U.S. champion. But I think they're going to try to keep him as a heel and just keep playing with it. You never know what's there until you do it week after week after week.
He's on fire right now. He's one of the main reasons why I look forward to watching SmackDown because of his whole shtick with that. And I don't know if you caught this, but he actually had in the podcast actually with CBV, he had talked about wanting to pretty much smack Matt Cardona. He was like, "Nah, I've got beef with Matt Cardona." And there was this match that he just had with Trick Williams, Matt Cardona, and as Kit Wilson is walking down to the ring, he yells in Trick's face, tells him he's toxic, and then he looks over at Matt Cardona and says the same thing. And as Matt Cardona walks past him, Kit attacks him from behind, beats him up, throws a few punches here and there, and then stops. And then his music then continues to play as if nothing happened. So that's just the sort of stuff that I like seeing. I think it's a great way to kind of keep the crowd and just the audience overall fresh. You know, that's something we need.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I'm glad that he's finally getting his flowers. I'm finally glad he's able to really explore that new gimmick that he has. But moving on, another match that we had talked about and had a little bit of a storyline leading up to it, but Jordynne Grace versus Jade Cargill. We saw Jade, two powerhouse wrestlers. Love the work ethic of Jordynne Grace. She was dominant in TNA, held that TNA Knockouts Championship for over a year. I want to say she held it for quite a while, but she got defeated by by Jade Cargill. As we know, they haven't done a lot of stuff with Jade Cargill. This was her first title defense in 100 days. And to me, that's a bit ridiculous considering the talent that Jade has. She's got that look. She's got the persona of a great heel. I'm really not liking the fact that they're kind of just putting her off to the side. I feel like WWE has this tendency where, you know, you become champion and then all of a sudden they just put you off to the side. And now you're kind of like this rare commodity where, yeah, I get it. You're a champion and, you know, you kind of be a little bit more selective with your matches. But at the same time, it's like, you know, being in person, at least doing promos or at least help build up, you know, some of the more individual female wrestlers, you know, something that the creative could do a lot better on. So, Matt, I know this was, you know, a match that we predicted, but who do you think? Because, you know, obviously we see Liv was out there with Dominic Mysterio for that match. Do we see Liv possibly picking Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship?
I don't. That match was good, I guess. Like we knew it was going to happen. Jade was not going to lose that match prior to WrestleMania. I think she'll keep the title going into Las Vegas. The one thing I got out of the match was Dominic and Liv had a beautiful Valentine's date. You know, they were down there having chocolates, and it was a Valentine's date for Liv and Dom. And Raquel was there at ringside as well. I actually don't think that. I think Liv's going to choose Stephanie Valkyrie. And I think that's where that's going to go. I think it's a little bit more fireworks on that side. I don't know what they do with Jade. I guess we have to really wait to see who wins the Women's Elimination Chamber. I know Tiffany Stratton has qualified. Rhea Ripley has qualified. So we got two of the top female wrestlers have qualified already for the Chamber. We know that Natty has a match this Monday night on Raw. I hope that she qualifies. And you know what? I'd like to see Natty win the Elimination Chamber. But can Natty highlight WrestleMania or headline WrestleMania? We said it last week when Tony was with us. The women's title match usually headlines night one or night two, or is usually the opener, right? For night one or night two. Who could you put in that spot? You know, I like Natty. I like Natty's evil twist and turning, beating up Maxine, but I don't know if she could win it and be able to headline night one or night two. But I could see maybe Jade Cargill and Rhea. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with the women's title. But to answer your question, Andre, I actually think Liv is going to choose Stephanie.
Fair enough. I mean, both great competitors to pick from. You know, there's a reason why she's plotting out and examining her options leading up to Mania. And like you said, we'll definitely have a better idea after that chamber is over. And we have Asuka, Bailey, and Natty going at it tomorrow night for the Elimination Chamber qualifying match. So that'll be a good match. We'll see where that leads up to. Matt, you had something to add?
Yes, sir. Let me ask you something, Andre. Can you see Liv Morgan and Stephanie Valkyr headlining night one or night two?
You know, it's funny you say that because I think Liv is going to go after Jade.
Okay.
I think here's the thing. I know we still have yet to see more qualifying matches. And here's the thing. If this is my answer is going to change if this happens. So if Bianca comes back, Elimination Chamber, right? She has a match, she wins Elimination Chamber, then I think she's going to pick Jade. Now, depending on who wins the chamber, I think for sure for me, Liv is going to pick Jade. I can see that happening a little bit more. Only because one, she took the time. Her and Dom sat ringside and saw Jade Cargill, and she got an in-person scouting report on how Jade wrestles. And I don't think you do that unless you're pretty serious about maybe getting that title off of him, right? And we just saw, Liv had a great reign as women's champion with the world title. I think we see her go after the other championship, which is the WWE Women's Championship, and kind of balance those two titles out. It'll be interesting to see, like you said. We'll know more after the chamber of who's going to pick who. But I can see if we're going to have that, we're going to talking which night. I can see that happening night too. So
Which I'm excited for.
Yes, it'll be a good match. Nonetheless, Liv puts on a great show. Jade, I just wish that she has had more appearances, because to go this long and not even have a match, a defending world title match, and your first one's on a SmackDown because Jordynne Grace. No disrespect to Jordynne Grace, love Jordynne Grace, but for that to be your first one, I mean, there's a lot of other women out there in the locker room that I feel like she can at least be actively beefing with and kind of having a storyline with. So nonetheless, we'll move on to the next segment. And you had mentioned this before with Solo, but we saw the MFT defeat Shinsuke, Matt Cardona, Apollo Crews, and Ilya Dragunov. I like this match. I thought this match was very entertaining. You've got some of the best in-ring performers out there. A lot of them actually, had experience, in Japan. Tala Tonga, was in the same company at New Japan with Tama Tonga Tongaloa. Obviously, they're all related. But also Shinsuke. So, Matt, this was a great match. Seemed a little bit random though, but after the end of the match, we saw the continuation of the MFTs and the White Six. Do we see another match between them happening? You still got the lantern. Do we possibly see that at WrestleMania?
I think we do. I think that's where it comes to a close, is at WrestleMania. I could see that be a night one filler match for WrestleMania, a mid-card match. You still got the tag titles on the line, but I think what's really going to play a role in that story is the lantern, right? It's supposed to be the spirit of Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy's brother. So I actually think that's where that's going to come to. One thing I loved about the match on SmackDown, Andre, is it gave a lot of people exposure. People that we don't get to see a lot on SmackDown, they were able to have something. Shinsuke, former world champion, former Royal Rumble winner, he was able to participate in it. We got to see Matt Cardona. We got to see something other than the open U.S. Championship Challenge match with Ilya and Carmelo going back and forth every week with The Miz thrown in there. We got to see something different. So I was glad that Nick Aldis made that match because it gave exposure to some of those mid-card performers that some of them at one time were champions, but now we're getting to see them more. So it was really interesting to see. And it was a good match.
I agree. And this is also a reason why I like having a 3-hour show, because you get more opportunity for those mid-card talent to showcase, showcase stuff that, they may not be able to even get, a segment in even backstage at a regular 2-hour show. This is why I'm a big fan of the 3-hour match. The 3-hour show run. And, we saw a little bit more longer shows happening over at Raw as well. And so if you're going to do 3-hour shows, in my opinion, this is where you do it, is the road to WrestleMania leading up to it. And so,
I agree.
So yeah, I think it's good. Next up, we have Alexa Bliss moving on to the Chamber. We had obviously talked previously just now about, the possibilities, but the Chamber is looking a little spicy. It's looking good, for the women's division. Matt, what were your thoughts about this match? Did you see Alexa winning?
I did. I actually picked her to win it. I didn't think that they were not going to go any other direction, but allowing her to go to the Chamber. And we've talked about it earlier. The women's division right now is really hot. It's on fire. So we don't know what direction they're going to go. Like you said, you'd like to see Stephanie and you said Liv and Jay. I'm thinking Liv and Stephanie. Stephanie Valkyrie slapped the shit out of Dominic on Raw. They had a good mic promo between the two ladies. It could go any direction. We'll know more after Chicago in 2 weeks.
Yes, the Chamber is going to be the main determinant of where we lead up to Mania. And speaking of Elimination Chamber matches, Cody versus Jacob Fatu versus Sami Zayn. We saw Drew McIntyre interfering with that match. Saw him claymore the crap out of Cody, and then taking Sami and putting him over Cody for the pin. 1, 2, Cody kicks out, and Cody grabs the win. Matt, I'm going to tell you this right now. I wanted Jacob Fatu to win. I said it last week in episode 6 that I wanted him to win. I wanted to see something different. And look, I like Cody, but this is a little bit predictable for him to win, first of all. I want to see somebody else different in the Chamber. I want to see a different side of Cody. And the thing is, I don't think Cody needs the title. I think that spot could have been given to Jacob. And here I'm going to say even this too, right? And that for me, Sami, I'm not the biggest fan of, with the whole underdog gimmick, but I would even say give to him because I want to see a different side of Cody. I want to see, I know that he's trying to get after the WWE Championship again against Drew McIntyre. And do we see it possibly a triple threat match happening at Mania? Possibly. Who knows? Maybe they'll throw Jacob Fatu in there somehow. But I'm gonna just tell you this right now. I think it's the storyline is a bit too predictable and a bit boring with Cody. I think we need to see something different. Kind of like going back what I said. I think there's just too many baby faces. I mean, he's going to be a baby face probably for a while. He's that company guy. He's that next person that we can kind of get close comparison with him and John Cena, right? As that person that's going to be always there hours before the show doing the work, and then there after the show signing autographs, taking time to take pictures with everybody, and doing all the extra legwork that you don't see on camera. But I want to see something different. I was a big fan of that. I was hoping that this isn't going to be the case, him winning, but we saw it obviously happen. And it looks like it's going to be a stacked Chamber. But I do hope, we're going to say this right now, I hope he doesn't win the Chamber. I want to see something different.
Wow. Lot to digest there, my friend. It was a good match. It was very predictable. We knew Cody was going to win that qualifying match. Here's my take on it. You just said a triple threat. And last week when we were talking to Tantalizing Tony, he said a triple threat as well. I don't think you go that direction now. So if Jacob's now not qualifying for the chamber, Drew put him through a table, took him out, right? Cody got the victory. He's going to the chamber match in Chicago. You can't tie Jacob back to that story. I mean, you could always do anything, right? But it wouldn't make sense to me for somebody to win the chamber, choose Drew McIntyre to face at Mania, and then Jacob Fatu gets to be in the match. No, that doesn't make sense. If I was in the writer's room, I'd be like, what? Why are we doing that? No. Okay. I still agree with you. And we've been saying this for a few weeks now. I want a heel Cody Rhodes. Okay. I want to see a Cody change everything. I want it to come out that Cody took out Jacob and cost him months ago time off. Drew McIntyre, I believe, did not attack Jacob Fatu and knocked his teeth out. I think it was Cody. And I'm going to go on it and say it again. I think it was Cody Rhodes. I think Drew is telling us the truth. And here's the thing. WWE is trying to get Drew to be that in-between guy. He's not a heel. He's not a baby face. You boo him. You cheer him. And Drew's trying to get heat to stay the heel. And the crowd is both back and forth. If you listen to him, it's like a 60-40 crowd on Drew McIntyre. I want to see a heel Cody Rhodes. And I want to see a heel Cody Rhodes versus the 15-time champion, the legend killer, known as the WWE's apex predator, the Viper, Randy Orton. I don't want to see Cody for a title match at WrestleMania. I don't want to see it. I want to see somewhere. And here's the thing. Randy wasn't on SmackDown on Friday night. Does Randy qualify for the chamber and somehow Cody screws him? Something like that. I want a shocker like last year's chamber match. We got the turn of the 17-time John Cena. I want a big chamber match. I want a shock going into WrestleMania, and the shock would be turning Cody heel.
I agree with you. And, you know, the shocker hopefully happens at Elimination Chamber. We saw that like happen last year, right? That ramped things up 10 times even more. And it's like, oh my gosh, we're finally seeing heel John Cena, right? Now, the whole heel run is completely different, right? That's a whole completely different story. I think that could have been a lot better. And I think WWE did a terrible job at handling that. Where's The Rock and all this other stuff. But that's a separate conversation for another time. But I think if you're going to have something like a big bombshell happen, you do it at Elimination Chamber.
Yes,
100% and so let's make that the PLE where people start to, oh yeah, we're gonna show a different side of us now. You're not prepared for this, and so I would love to be a fly on that wall for creative because, like I said, not only do you have the Vision storyline all screwed up now, but now it's like, okay, how do you make this a WrestleMania? Because there was a meeting. How do you make on the low ticket sales happening? How do you make this an event now where you're wanting more people to come out and see the show? We had a reason. I mean, first time in Vegas last year, right? We're back here in Vegas again this year in a couple months. What do you do to really draw people, to draw more people in? I think that's what you do. You turn somebody heel. You turn somebody unexpected heel. And what better way? I mean, we've been teasing for a while. Well, actually, Cody has been teasing it for a while, but that's him possibly going heel. I would love to see that.
Oh, here's this. You know what's funny? If you watch Unreal, it tells us a lot of stuff. And in season 1 of Unreal, it told us how they did the John Cena turn. I mean, how they kept it under wrap. And the one reason they made that decision was because the ticket sales for Elimination Chamber last year in Toronto was terrible. So Nick Khan was like, we got to do something to, build these. Nobody's buying to come see us. So they call The Rock. Let's book The Rock. Then what do we do with him? What do we do? And it took steps to get to where they wanted to go because they were thinking about turning Cody heel. Then they said, hey, how about this? Let's do John. What? Cena's last. What? How do we do that? It would be the shock heard around the world from the time Hogan went heel, from the time Stone Cold went heel at WrestleMania 17. It'd be a mic drop shocker. You know what, Dre? If we don't get Cody Rhodes as a heel this year, or at least right now on the road to WrestleMania, I want to see Randy and Cody. Then give me heel Randy back. Let Randy cost Cody the match at Elimination Chamber, and let me see that. Because QB1, if we're going to keep him as quarterback 1, fine. But he doesn't have to go for the title. Let Drew McIntyre do something else. Give somebody else a time. And then we can always recircle and come back to Cody at a later date. But if we're not going to turn him heel, I still want to see Randy and Cody at WrestleMania. Put that down. That's night 1's headliner match.
I would love to see that.
Yes. I'm buying night 1 ticket if they do that.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
There's so much history there, and they've teased it so many times, especially when Cody was champion. So,
and you and I have joked around. I said, we were talking about night 1, right? And I'll say this to all of our fans out there. I said, night 1, if I get Stone Cold and The Rock. But if you give me Cody and Randy Orton night 1 main event, because I don't think that would go on first. I think the WWE Championship would go on first then. And we've opened up the show with title matches. But if you give me Cody and Randy night 1, I'm there. I want to see that live.
I agree with you. So yeah, let's move on. Let's wrap things up here. We've got a lot of things to look forward to, and one of those being Gunther, Dominic, and Javon going at it in a triple threat Elimination Chamber qualifying match. I have a feeling Gunther's going to win. This is the preview for tomorrow. Dominic, would be a shocker in my opinion. Javon, I don't see winning. Sorry. But I think Gunther is going to dominate this match. He's going to go on to the chamber. Thoughts on that, Matt?
100% agree. Nothing more to say except I think Gunther is winning that. And here's the thing. That could be a twist to tie in to what we just talked about with Orton Cody. What about Drew and Gunther? That would be something to see.
I agree. We need something different. I need something different. And the WWE TKO, if you so happen to watch this episode and I clip this and one way for you to drive up ticket sales. Oh, how about you lower your prices? That'd be a great first step.
Yeah.
Jeez. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up episode 7 of Ringside Rewind podcast. Matt, any last words, parting words that you have for our viewers and listeners?
No, my last thing to say is I thank you all for your support, your followings, your subscriptions. Please continue to follow us as we head onto this road to WrestleMania. I say this all the time. We do this because we love professional wrestling. We love talking professional wrestling. So please continue to follow the Ringside Rewind, and we look forward to talking to you all next week.
Couldn't have said it any better, Matt. That being said, thank you guys again for watching, viewing, wherever you guys are listening and listening to this podcast from. We really do appreciate it. Every week, you guys showing the support, all the love and whatnot. And so, yeah, we thank you guys again. We truly do appreciate you guys following us and taking the time out of your day to listen to our voices and watch our faces on YouTube on our wrestling takes. Again, this has been Andre alongside with my brother, Matt, Ringside Rewind Podcast. We'll see you guys again for episode 8.
Thanks, guys.